Good afternoon. This is I don't know how many of these webinars I've done. I'm going to do a few more. And then, like I said, at some point when the files are complete, I'm just going to release them to the rest of the Insider Club. It, Even when I do stop the webinar series, I'll be coming on once or twice a month and adding to it or showing you the latest things that I'm working on. And that's the way it'll be. But right now, what I was saying earlier is that I don't think this market is going down, and you can see it today. The gap down. This is the S&P, the spider gap down to here, traded down, and now it's near its high of the day. Same thing goes for the Nasdaq 100. This is just, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, a shakeout day where people dump stocks when they see the futures tank in the morning based upon a news related item, and then it's a buying opportunity for those who want to add to their positions. So I think that's what's happening right now. This view that I have up is Major Markets Plus, includes the ETFs, and looking at the other side of this, this is the UVXY, the Ultra VIX short term. This shows you the fear coming into the market. Today it gapped open, traded all the way up to this level, and here it is near the bottom of the candle. It's just obviously trading inverse to the markets. So let's see what happens over the next few days. But with that extra strong jobs report this morning, that's what spooked the market because the Fed's not going to let cut rates anytime soon, or just leave them alone. They're going to continue to raise, or at least that's the way what the market interpreted today as. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few things here. The files have been updated. And there's one thing I want you to get rid of if you have this in here. This is the file that Mike McDonald sent me a while back with some thoughts about rearranging my files, and I've pretty much done that now. On the early installations of the add-on, this got stuck in the zip file. I didn't want it in there. It shouldn't be in there. So if you have this one, the 4Z's and my name on it, just locate it and click on delete and get rid of it. And it won't be there in the future. The only thing you're going to have in the future are the webinar series 2023 webinar series, and the inventory folder is going to be down here, and this contains all the files as they were before. And I wanted to put that in there because they don't take up any space, any disk space or anything. They don't slow the program down, but if there's something in there that you used before and I've eliminated with my current views filters, their views and charts, the filters and combos are never unaffected. Never affected, I should say. They're unaffected because I just keep adding to them, and everything is linked to filters and combo. And if I go in there and start messing with filters and combo, if anything gets deleted for a warehouse view or something, then I get all kinds of error problems. So I just continually build on the filters. So if you look at the filter file, don't be scared. It's just everything is linked to something, whether current files or former files. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that you know that you can delete that file. The download is available right now. I sent out an email this morning. It's updated. I even updated it a little bit today, so you can download it and see what's in there. And I'm going to cover what's in there right now. Somebody just turned their microphone on, I think. So let's just take a look at what's moving today. This is the routine that I go through every day. Intraday, if I'm looking for something to trade, I always go into my reference groups, and I've shown you this before. I just click on industries and I rebuild these. First of all, let's do, whoops, wrong one. I'm going to update the intraday quickly and build the indexes. Now, I posted on the Skype board several hours ago that there wasn't a single group up for the day, but I'm sure that's changed by now because the market has certainly come off the lows. Okay, and now I'm going to rebuild my user smart groups. I've added a couple of smart groups, and I'm going to cover those here in a few minutes. Yeah, Robert, you can delete that January update if you want to, because I am putting the non-index files in the new set of files for the webinar. So I'm putting I'm putting the non-index files and the market analysis user groups. These are both in the new webinar filters. These are sectors that I've created myself. They're not in there, but these two are. Also, in the non-index files, I put, where did I put it? Maybe I didn't put it in here. But I'm going to show you some CanSlim type filters that I put in today. And I'm going to start tracking those and see how they do. It's just pretty easy for me to drag these up every day. So I'm going to talk about those in a little bit. But I thought I had something else in here. It was a list of 5 ETFs. I'll make sure I get it in here. 5 ETFs that track the AI stocks. And they're ETFs, so I thought I had it in there, but evidently I didn't put it in there. But I'll make sure that I get that in, and we'll talk about that next time, okay? Anyway, yes, to answer your question, go ahead and delete those January files. There's really no need to have them anymore. Okay, so I've rebuilt my user smart groups now. Let me get my train of thought back here. I'm going to click on this. We're going to go into the top-down stocks, moving up and down smart groups, and I'm going to go to the C folder. Now, I just rebuilt, and you can see that I'm in major markets, but I have to get to all securities for this to work. So the fastest way is to hold the alternate space bar. And once you do that, all you do is engage the filter up here. In case people don't know how to do that, you just click on this icon here, and it will engage the filter. And you can see that there's 11,453 securities until I engage this, and now there are 100 securities. And now I'm going to sort on the raw combo. And you can see that which of these industry groups are up. This is just a routine that I do every day. If I'm looking for potential trades, I will do it several times a day. And I like being able to look down here and see what's going on. But look at this. There's only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups represented in here that are up for the day. Now I'm going to go look at the industry groups in a minute, but I want to see what's happening here. And I don't see any tech stocks, or very few, if any, tech stocks within these 100 stocks. Now I need to get out of here. And I need to go to industry, biotech, REIT, PC insurance, and so on. So you can see that it's not a tech day. But let's just drop down to the 1 to 15 group. Just below it, you can see there's 100 securities in here too. Oh, here's some application software stocks, which are in the tech sector. Communication, a couple of communication stocks in the tech sector. In these views, I put both the industry and the sector in here just so I can cross-reference in case anybody forgets what sector these industry groups are on. So what do we have here? Do we have anything of interest? This is sorted on the groups, and just to remind you, I'm going to click on this, and if we go down to number 3 and 4, there's what I call an intraday demand combo on here, and it's going to sort. If the raw combo is selected, it's going to look for the stocks that are most in demand based upon the combo. And if you look down this column right here, this is the intraday range. You can see that Sealed Air Corp is trading at 100% of its daily range, up 2.95%. Let's take this down and look at some charts on these. Now, I don't, I just have a basic chart up here right now, but you can see that Sealed Air, if you look over here at the weekly, it is under accumulation, and I'm saying that based upon, let me move in a little bit here. Look at this, these 4 VPA flags. This is strength seen returning after a downtrend, no supply and no demand. There's 2 of them in here. Strength seen returning, and then this is an up bar closing near its high. That's a confirmation of strength based upon the weekly chart. So the intrinsic risk, as it's called, where you look for support, the intrinsic risk was really low when we look at these 4 weeks here, because on 3 out of the 4 weeks it closed near the high. And this is this week, of course, but you can tell that they are, whoever's interested in this stock is buying the dips. And on this day the volume was lower, so it says, indicated, I should say, no supply. Now looking at the chart over here, this is a daily chart. It still has to get out of this area right here. Let's see if I can draw a box here. And you can see it over here too on the weekly chart. So there's resistance just ahead here, but it is under accumulation. Here's a low volume test right here. If this one goes in a watch list, and it certainly could, you could put this in Thinkorswim and put an alert somewhere up in this area, and then if that alert goes off, it could be an indication to go ahead and buy the stock. It's going to have a lot of overhead resistance because you can see the trend was down, and it'd be nice if a third higher high would form here, but maybe it's not necessarily. There's definitely accumulation going on in this stock. Okay, now let me get rid of this and clear this. I'm going to quick add to group. I'm going to put it under user groups. I'm going to start a new watch list. And 2023-07-06, I'll put it in there. I'll come back and revisit this maybe next week. Okay, so it's in there. Now let's take another look at this. I want to go down to my number 2 chart. See how it's stacking up here with the moving averages, and you can see that the 3 did cross the 6 back here on this day. And if you're impatient, you don't want to wait for resistance to be broken, it's a buy with the 3-6 crossover and the 6-18 crossover, and also the volume point of control is green now. But you can see with this fan here that the trend is clearly down. But if we take a longer look here on the daily, you can see that this has been under accumulation at this level for quite some time. See if I can draw a box here and get it halfway. So all of this is accumulation, and as it accumulates, these moving averages you can see slow down. This is a false breakout here on the 3-6, but it continues to build momentum. Let's just take a look at whoops, that's a whiteboard. I don't want that. I want this one. Let's take a look up here. I've got to get this menu out of the way. I can't. Well, you can see the revenues are not good on this. They've been negative for quite a while, and the earnings are not good either. But the anticipation must be that things are going to be better ahead with all this accumulation going on. Okay, I don't want to spend any more time on that, but I just wanted to take a look at it because it is the one that is up the most today, trading at the upper part of its range. Do you like going through and looking at stocks like this? Okay, what's number 2? A well-known name, Garmin. All right, here's Garmin. Let's start with the weekly here. Well, you can see the weekly has been trending up with a series of higher pivots, higher highs, higher pivot, higher pivot, higher pivot. So this stock is in an uptrend, and this was a pullback here. You can see it right here. The 3 went down through the 6, and the 6 through the 18. The volume point of control. Let me get my arrows up here. Turned positive here. 3-6 turned positive here yesterday. And once again, these accumulation VPA flags, they tell us a lot, don't they? Here's strength seen returning, and confirmation of that strength. No supply, and it's moving up. But remember what I said last time, that the long-term charts are generally the dominant chart. So with a stock trending up like this and then a pullback, if the market holds together, generally the lower price, or the lower from weekly to daily. What I'm trying to say is the weekly chart will be the dominant chart over the daily chart, and then the daily over the 78 over the daily, and then the 16-minute when we look at it in Thinkorswim. But you know, this looks good. Volume's coming in. Here is a volume pocket pivot and another confirmation today as this takes off. So Garmin's looking pretty good here. Let me clear these out of here. And let's make this full screen. Now it's going to run up against resistance right here. But if there's enough volume, it could blow right through that. Somebody say something? Okay. So let's put this one. I'm going to put this in that watch list also, just to see if it can go. where's a safe place to take this? Obviously, back here, if you don't want to wait for crossovers, these VPA flags are telling us something. Where did it find support? It found support right around the 100-day exponential moving average. Moving averages oftentimes show us support. Not always. It's just, another one of the tools. But, okay, I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'm just showing you that these two right here with these 100 stocks, if you use these with the demand combo, and I call it effort versus result, that's the name of the combo, it will bring the stocks that are most in demand to the top of the list. Now I'm going to click on this, and then actually I want to do this. I want to reverse the sort. Now these are all positive too, but they're not as much in demand as you can see. This is at the 88th percentile of the daily range, only up 45 cents. And it's just inverse. Everything is positive, but the strong ones, if the raw combo is pointing up, that's where the demand is for the day. Now you can do this. I'd say wait 10-15 minutes after the market opens before you start running these. It takes a while for the market to settle in, so I always like to wait. Okay. That's a big part of what I look at every day. And then if you want to see where the weakness is, you just go to the other side. These are the stocks that are down for the day. So renewable energy equipment is down big. These are the $15 and up stocks. Exploration and production down. I thought that would be up because oil prices are sneaking up a little bit. Home builders are finally going down. There's some pretty good hits here today on home builders, but they've had such a massive run that you would expect that. And then this is the 1 to 15 group. I'll bring the quick pick up again. And here is, sorry, wrong one. Okay, intraday supply. It's just the reverse of intraday demand. So the stocks that are in the heaviest supply for intraday are going to come to the top of the list. Here's a stock, Teladoc Health. It's down 7%, and it's at 6.26% of its daily range. You can see that it's kind of falling out of bed here. And this is a stock that's clearly in a downtrend. You can see why I'd like to use this chart with the moving averages. You get an instant read of what the stock is doing, where it stands. But okay, I think you understand those. I've covered those in several webinars, but it's a place where I look intraday to see what's up and what's down. And then I'm going to go back up here to the stocks that are up. If I want all of these stocks in Thinkorswim, it's really just a matter of, I'm going to do this, copy of the clipboard, and I'm going to bring up Thinkorswim, main window. And here's a watch list. Edit the watch list. I'm going to import, and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to replace all of the current symbols. And then I'll just go back in to this. I'm going to go down to the stocks 1 to 15. I'm going to copy these two as a comma separated list, and I'm going to import them, but I'm going to paste, but I'm not going to replace. I'm going to add these to the current symbols. So what that does is it gives me $200 stocks. you may not want to combine them, but I'm just showing you that you can do. And this column over here, hard to borrow, easy to borrow. If you like to short stocks, this is in Thinkorswim. You can put that column in. But now I've got 200 stocks in here, and on this percent sort on the daily range, I can see which of these stocks are up the most. I don't have a clue what their relationship is to the fan, so you just have to click through these, but it's so easy to get them in here. Now, that's an awful lot of stocks to look at, and you may spend a lot of time just looking at stocks you don't want to look at. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to get these over into Thinkorswim, and you can do your prospecting then. I like to get an idea in this. This is the 1 to 15. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to scroll over to the right. And if I'm looking for strongest stocks and not using that demand combo, but if I want to look at stocks where the fan is up, I can click on this, and I can see that out of these 100 stocks, 1 to 15 or $15 and up, that 29 of them are stocks that have the fan up. So if I just want to concentrate on those, I'll do this occasionally. I'll just make a group from the list, put 29 in here, fan up, stock up. And it's working. I can generate an index if I want it. But anyway, that's it. And this way I'm looking only at stocks with the fan up. So if you don't want to waste a bunch of time, you can do this. And then you can come in here and start sorting. So here is a stock that's up 143% today, trading at 94.74%. I know that the fan is up, and this has been, 3's been above the 18 for 23 days. So what does that tell us without even looking at the chart? It's a trending stock. And it's up today. So here was a pullback. Last time I said you don't trade the impulse. The impulse is this. You kind of wait. You wait for the reaction or the pullback. So it pulled back, and the reason you wait for the pullback is if you're chasing it here, yeah, you may get on, and it may continue to go up. But if it comes back here, you know how to define your risk with that risk tool. So it's a lot less risky to buy a stock after it pulls back. Any questions? Let's get this out of the way. I have to do this. I keep forgetting to click on that. Okay, here's a weekly chart. Boy, this is kind of a wild looking weekly chart, isn't it? But it is trending up if we use the 3 higher high rule. Here's first higher, second higher high right there, and then the third. I mean, that was quite a move from that. But it is clearly in an uptrend. And you can see on the weekly chart here was this bar being formed based upon these pullbacks, or this pullback on the daily chart. What are some of the other characteristics of this? Well, relative strength is not that great, 77, but the Kirkpatrick relative strength is 83, so it's pretty good. But looking at the chart, I'd say it's probably not a bad place to get in. If you want to confirm pivot, it's going to have to take out the prior day's high. Earnings come out August 3rd, so earnings are a month away. What's the group doing? Group is only 4 rank. So the group rank is not encouraging, but the stock obviously is more important than the group. Okay, I've spent enough time on that. Let me check my list here. All right, I know what else I want to do with this list. Okay, these are the stocks $15 and up. Now, I'm in my fan stock up group, but I want to get to this list, and I showed you this last week. What I want to do is I want to go here to the designer where these stocks are. The same 100 stocks are in these folders. It's the third folder down, $15 up, and 1 to 15. But the advantage of doing it here, rather than just working like I was before, I can click through to here, and then I can go in with any of the other scans and prospect with this group using the other scans. And let's just go down. I'm just going to open up my number one folder. Let's just go in and let's click on 52-week high intraday. There's one stock that hit the 52-week high yesterday out of these 100 stocks, Rollins Inc. So let's bring Rollins Inc. up, and you can see that it's not only out to a new 52-week high, it looks like it's out to a multi-year high. Let's put the crosshair on here. You can see that it cleared all this over here. I'm going to do an alternate M, which is a monthly chart. So Rollins, it looks like it's out to an all-time high. Look at this, beautiful chart. For those with patience, this goes back to 09, trading for about $3 then. This is how you get wealthy if you have the patience to do it and the time. Okay, so I know that hit a 52-week high. Let's analyze this daily chart. I'm going to bring my arrow up again. So here's strength seen returning. Here's a confirmation of that strength. The trend was obviously down at that point, but the 3 crossed the 6, and look at all these volume pocket pivots. The 6 crossed the 18. The 18 didn't cross the 50 until it got clear up to here. But then we have this impulse move all the way up here, and then here's a reaction. Well, the 3 was above the 6 the whole time here. It never did get below it until this pullback. Now here's the reaction. And what do we have here? It looks like the 3 crossed the 6 right here, right at that point. And the VPOC was already positive, so the bulls are getting back in control based upon the 10-day VPOC. So there's your impulse. And there's another reaction, and then here is a long impulse here. But look at these tests for supplies, confirmation of the test right here, test for supply, confirmation of the test. So we get a lot of signals here, don't we? Here's a pocket pivot that was right at the top there, though. But anybody taking these signals here, or this back here, and it's tougher when the trend is down, but when you see volume coming in like this multiple days with these blue bars, it just means there's a lot of buying going on. Okay, now I keep forgetting to go back to that to regain control. All right, so that is just one scan there. Now let's look at the most active up. These are all under my daily. most active up and down. So out of this group of 100 stocks, these are the most active stocks. You can get a quick read on, of course, relative strength. Children's Place doesn't have very good relative strength of 9 and a Kirkpatrick of 1, but it's up 10.92% today. And going to have to take a look at this. This has got to be a bottom fish, doesn't it? Well, it's coming out of the bottom here. It looks like it's been under accumulation for a while. Once again, well, here's first higher high, second higher high, third higher high on the weekly. So based on that, let me make this full screen and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, so stopping volume right here. Strength seen returning after a downtrend. Confirmation of that strength. And then here's the first higher high when it surpassed that. Second, let me get a line on here so I can do it right. First higher high. Second higher high. And then the third higher high when this was taken out right here. So this would be a pivot or a price trend change, not a pivot trend change. A pivot trend change would have really required, if you require the prior one to be taken out, would be right here. So anyway, the trends are up. My dog's barking. I keep hitting that whiteboard. Okay, so let's go to the daily chart. We know the weekly trend is up because of the third higher high. So here is strength seen and returning, strength seen and returning. Confirmation of that strength with an effort to rise on that same day. I'm going to make this yellow. On that same day, the 3 crossed the 6, and look at these volume pocket pivots back to back. Effort to rise. A little bit of a pullback, but it's still in impulse mode now. And it hasn't really come out of it. I mean, this was flat here, but it really didn't dip down because you can see the 3 stayed above the 6 the whole time, and the volume point of control stayed positive the whole time. So if you can locate these stocks, even if the trend's down and you see a lot of VPA flags and stocks closing near the high of their daily range, that's a pretty good indication that there are buyers coming into a stock. Well, this is up here. I'm going to show you a stock that's moved. Well, I had it up there already. RIVN. Now you can see Rivian. This stock, they came out the other day and said they produced 13,000 vehicles so far this year, and they're on their goal. They think they're going to hit the 50,000, which is what they're trying to do this year. But what I want to point out here is no supply. Well, there's several back here too, and then when the market pulled back a little bit, it pulled back too. But no supply, no supply. Strength seen coming in. Notice that this candle closed at the top of its daily range, and then here is a confirmation of that strength with an effort to rise. And then I think the news came out yesterday, consequently the big gap. But do you think maybe there was some anticipation or some news leaking out before, and it was showing up based upon the high closes on these and all of the VPA flags? I thought that was interesting. And you can see here, let me bring that arrow back up, 3 crossed the 6 right here. And then look at the volume, the steady volume that we've had. This bar is only red because the close of the candle is lower than the open. It gapped up to here, and closed here. That's why the bar is red. But this was all volume yesterday, positive volume, even though it shows up red. I say it's positive because the price of the stock was up. I mean, if you really start studying these closely, you can see all this stuff. And I have to admit, I'm not spending enough time doing that, but it would certainly help not only me but everybody else when you see something come up in one of your scans, if it's the intraday scan or an end of day scan. Really pay close attention to what the VPA flags are showing and seeing if a stock is holding support. This is the intrinsic risk, or the lack of, because there's a lot of buying going. There wasn't much risk buying here. There's a lot more risk buying now than here because it's moved away from that. So now it's trending up. Ideally, you want to wait for it to stop and pull back a little bit. But highly speculative stock, but right now momentum's on its side. Any questions about that? All right. Let me check my list again. Well, I'm not finished with what I wanted to do. That's why I check my list. Okay, these are the most active. Now, if you're interested in looking for this same group that I'm in, if I want to look for long-term leaders intraday, I can just click on this under folder number 3, long-term leaders, and I don't have to look at a bunch of stocks. Everything is right here in front of me. I can look down at the relative strength rank of the Kirkpatrick. I can see the outperformance or performance compared to the S&P 500. Here's the intraday change, the range, volume, and so on. And I'm using this view here again, which doesn't show everything. So I have to scroll over like that. On this one, no VPA signal yesterday, but the day before there was an effort to rise. Let's just take a look at it. Well, there's another effort to rise today, but here's the effort to rise, which is showing up in this column right here. And clearly an uptrend on the weekly chart. Let's widen that out, but look where this stock used to be. I don't know anything about it. It's probably a Chinese stock. Autonomous Aerial Vehicle Technology Platform Company. Yeah, it's Chinese. But this is probably moving in sympathy with Rivian and so on. Robert, you want me to define risk on what stock? Oh, intrinsic risk. Intrinsic risk. Okay, intrinsic risk is really support. Looking at both the weekly and the daily chart where you're finding support like this, or it can be a moving average also, like the 18-day moving average here. But you see multiple days here where it's finding support, so the intrinsic risk is not as great. Now, there's yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. Let me bring this up here. In your okay, price. There's 3 types of risk here. If I can find it. Contextual risk relates to the strength of the trends. Support. Well, I look at support for both intrinsic and contextual. Group direction, market direction, and so on. Intrinsic risk requires stock setups where the stop out risk is less likely, and that's what I was referring to. Support areas, VPA tests, and so on. So this is what I've been talking about right here. But this is in that PDF that you have, which defines these. And setup risk, of course, is the amount of dollar risk we want to take on any trade. So risk is higher here because it's pulled away from the intrinsic risk here. The further it goes, the more risk it has. But there are exceptions because the 3 is above the 6 here and it's trending. And you can get on these stocks if you get in early enough. I just hate to chase them when they go too far. I'd rather wait for a little bit of pullback where the intrinsic and the contextual risk is less. Okay, so my point is on all these, you can look at any of these scans, whatever you're looking for. You can go through the undercut and rally scans. The 3 is setting up. You can see right here the 3 is below the 6. Both of the VPOCs have turned positive. And then you can get a read on the relative strength and what these are doing today. You get the group, you get the VPA signal. Let's just look at this. Here's an undercut. There's 3 stocks that we're setting up here. 1 specialty pharma, 2 biotechs. And let's sort on this and take the one that where the percent range is the highest. So if I bring this up, you can see that it's trading near the top of its daily range. Here's an accumulation day. Here is a no supply day. Here's another accumulation day. Why do I say that? Because it closed near the top of its daily range, and it's doing the same thing right now. Now it's got resistance over here, of course, from all this. Let's look at the weekly chart. There's resistance in here. You know, the weekly trend, well, it didn't change. There weren't 3 lower lows, so it's kind of a mixed picture on the weekly here, but support came down nearly to the 200, but then these VPA flags showed up. And those things, it's amazing how often the VPA flags work. And like I've shown you, and I can show you again, you can scan on any VPA flag. And just for the heck of it, let's go in here and let's go into the gurus. Let's go into the VPA bullish. Let's look at the 2-day scans. See if anything is showing up on any of these. Here's one. Low volume test followed by the confirmation of the low volume test. Let's bring it up. And it's going to find these stocks. It's going to find the low volume test and the confirmation of that test. Now if I just did a single scan on this day here, this would be low volume test only. But these seem to work quite well. Not always, but when you get a test, and what does the test mean? The test means that it traded down and then closed near the high on low volume. Volume was really low on this. And then there was a confirmation of that test. Opened here, traded down, closed near the high of the day. So that confirmed this test. So it's really 2 tests in a row. And then today, it's taking off. This is an expensive stock though, but I'm just pointing out how well these work. And you can scan for them. They're under number 3 low volume test followed by a confirmation of that test. Here's a no supply followed by effort up. And none of these others are finding anything. In this current list, remember I'm only looking at 100 stocks. And then here's the individual scans. Let's look for, there was no test for supply in any of those today. You know, I don't really run through these, but they're there if you want to scan them, if you want to learn about VPA. That's why I went to all the work of putting these in here. And let's see, if you click on this pencil up here, right here, it tells you what these signals are. Low volume test, it explains it. Magenta box below, the day low. So it's a really good way to learn VPA. Okay. Well, this looks like it's got a long way to go over here on this weekly chart. Be a little bit leery of, but on the daily, it's looking pretty good. Okay. So I don't want to spend too much time on all these. Let's go take a look at. My point is, let me emphasize this: you can get this list of stocks, and then you can scan on anything, and that's what you want to do, because you can narrow the list down in a hurry. And let's see. Here's some lower risk setups. I put this in. Let me show you this quickly on the long side. So we have this 100 stocks, lower risk. 3 and 6 down, the VPOC is up. So the 3 and 6 is down if you look up here, and the VPOC is up on this stock. And the stock was, I need to go to the intraday version. Okay, here's the intraday version of this. So the 3.6 is down, the VPOC is up, and it's up 1.77 a day. Let's look at it. Okay, here was the impulse, the reaction. The VPOC is down, or the 3 is below the 6 here, but notice the volume point of control. It's been green all along here, even on this pullback, because of the lighter volume, except for one day here it wasn't enough to trigger it to the downside. So in these scans, I'm looking for stocks that are pulling back with a volume point of control positive. And that happened here, and today it came up in these 100 stocks from the intraday scan. So here's a potential trade right here, and you can see the weekly chart looks good here. It's trending up. Okay, so that's one, and then this one is 3 and 6. They're both up. They've crossed over. And here's the intraday version. You can see they both crossed over. I just put these in here so you could take a long list of stocks, apply these views, and know immediately that the 3 and the 6 are up and the VPOC is up. And applying it to the stocks and groups that are up, you can see that these are up. Just a quick way to hone in on stocks. All right, now let me show you something that I put in just for fun. I don't know if it's for fun or not, but we're going to talk here about if you go into my top user groups, I put CanSlim type stocks, and I said CanSlim type stocks because I didn't want to say CanSlim stocks because I'd probably get sued by IBD. Years ago, Ian and I and George, we were using their industry groups, and George had gotten permission from William O'Neill, and they sent us a letter, cease and desist, or we're going to sue you for using those groups, even after George had written permission. So I'm a little bit leery about just going out and say these are CanSlim stocks, because they're not. But because I don't have all the requirements. Let's just click on this, and you can see that only 2 out of this list are so-called CanSlim stocks, and I'll explain what I'm using for the filter here. I'm going to go to all securities. I'll finish this segment before I end this webinar. And I'm applying this. I'm sorting on raw combo. There's 83 stocks also, oh, I'm sorry. Let's start over here. Okay, I've got these user groups here. But also under earnings momentum, I have down here at the bottom CanSlim type stocks. 20% revenue and EPS growth. That's a minimum. And then there's one with the fan. Well, the fans are up on both of these. This is intraday. This is end of day. This is intraday under earnings momentum. So under all securities, you can see 62 stocks showed up, and there aren't many that are up today. If I resort, there's only 8 stocks, but let's take a quick look at the filter. And what I'm looking for here are minimum $10 stocks trading 250,000 shares. Percent revenue change is greater than 20% compared to the same quarter 1 year ago, and the previous revenue is 20% greater than 1 year ago. Same thing for the EPS 20 and 20. EMA fan trend is up, and I want percentage price change over 5 days to be greater than 0. So I'm looking for stocks that are moving up here and have these characteristics. So let's just bring up a stock here. Now, Lifetime Fitness is at the top of the list here. My niece works for Lifetime Fitness, and she got in early with stock options, and she's a multimillionaire. She's a hard worker. Anyway, what I'm looking for here, let's make this full screen, is the percentage increase on the revenue has to be, well, there was no revenue in these quarters right here. Has to be at least 20% compared to a year ago, and it was negative or no information there, so that qualifies. And the same thing for the EPS. You can see how quickly this is growing as far as percentage gains. Not big earnings, but that's not the point. We're looking for earnings that are moving up. You can see it in the graph here. The blue is the earnings graph, and the red is the revenue graph. And so it will qualify as a CanSlim stock according to my filter. Now, true CanSlim means current earnings, and I'm talking about the current earnings right now. The annual earnings, they would like to see over 5 years, 20% growth minimum, I believe. A new product, this isn't really a new product, but there aren't that many new products. Supply and demand, is there more demand than supply? Right here, once again, what do we see? We see VPA flags resting right here on the 100-day. A little pullback, and now it's going up again. Is it a leader in its group? Group rank is only 3, so I assume it probably is a leader. How much institutional support is there? Let's find out. I have to get rid of that. Let's go up here. Institutionally held 80.6%, so there's heavy institutional sponsorship. And M on the CanSlim stands for market. If the market's weak, this process really doesn't work all that well. I mean, it still works. Shouldn't say it doesn't work all that well, but when everything, like when the wind is at your back, as Robert likes to say, and Ian used to like to say it, and the market's just going up, these CanSlim type stocks can really get some very generous returns in a short period of time. Now, as far as the 5-year, if you click on this right here, this little thing right here, and you go to financials, I believe this is projected 5-year revenue growth based upon what the stock has done, because I don't believe there's not 5 years in here. So 38.3, they'd like 20%, and earnings growth rate almost 100%. Oh, that information is in here. I don't know if you ever look at this, but it's right here. And then you just go under financials. And then there's the market information and so on too. So let's just go into the designer. Here are all of the CanSlim stocks. Now let me take this filter off. By CanSlim, I just mean the ones that pass that filter that I just went over. And I'm deactivating the filter right now. And there's only 199 stocks out of the database which meet those requirements. So there aren't very many of them. And if I click through to the warehouse view and just look at these symbols or names, you're going to recognize a lot of these stocks. American Airlines, Ardmore Shipping is in here, Array Technologies. So Canadian Solar's in here, Booking, Boeing, and so on. These are the stocks that meet that requirement. These don't require that the price be up over the last 5 days. These are all of the stocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how these work over time. And every morning in the non-index files, I'm going to drag these CanSlim type stocks up to these folders. There was one for June, and you can see that they're in here. And then I've got 2 for July. So I'm going to track them, or you can track them too, because we have all of them crossing over with the fan up, crossing over no fan. That means there's fan isn't required. CanSlim setting up, there were only 4 today. Setting up no fan, there were all of these. Continuation, this is my continuation scan, which requires either an effort to rise or the volume spikes. And then end of day CanSlim, this is the one that requires that they be up over the last 5 days. So anyway, I'm just getting started with this. I just put them in yesterday. I'm going to see how they work, because if it helps us locate stocks with good earnings growth and they're moving if the market's strong, we can maybe get some big winners out of that. Now I'm going to click on this, and these are all 199 of them. This is what makes up that list. Based upon that, there's banks in here. Now banks really wouldn't be considered a true CanSlim stock, probably more the technical type stocks, but they meet the requirement in here of the minimum earnings growth. That's why they're in here. There's an 11 application software. These stocks right here are new. I have added them to my list to send to George to get in the database. There are some marine shipping stocks. Now these are not new products, but they have really strong earnings, and that's why they're in here. You can see airlines have been on a tear, internet-based services, and so on. So that's my little experiment, and we'll just see how it works out. Any questions? Anyway, when I do a webinar next week, do you want to concentrate on just looking at stocks, going through some scans, finding the stocks, and then analyzing them? I still want to do one session or part of a session on bullish debit spreads. Okay, thanks. All right, so evidently you like doing this. Well, I like doing this too because it's a great way to look at stocks and look for potential trades. So we'll just go ahead and do more of this, and I'll do another week or two, and then I may shut it down and then just go to either every other week or once a month. We'll see what the demand is. All right. Well, I'm going to shut it down, and I'll just see y'all next week. I'll probably get out another video, and I'll explain that CanSlim a little bit better probably in the video. I didn't do a real great job, but okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks for showing up.